Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to give you my opinions, my thoughts, my feelings on the various ships within, or not the ships themselves, but the actual tech lines of the ships that are in World of Warships Blitz. If you've never played this game before, maybe this will be of some use to you. If you've already played this game and you have your own thoughts and opinions on the various tech lines, please feel free to leave those comments below. Now, without further ado, let's jump right into it. First up, we have the American line. I like the American ships. I think the American ships are very, very good generalist ships. There's nothing outstanding about any of the other ships in particular compared to some other countries. So, for instance, the Japanese have the Yamato with 18-inch guns, and I think only the Vermont has 18-inch guns. But the rest of the battleships only have 16-inch guns, and some of the cruisers they're okay, and other cruisers sort of stand out. In general, I think they're good generalist ships. And if you're looking to get started in the game, I think the American line is not a bad line to get started with. Again, some good ships in here, some not so good ships, but overall, good tech line. Next up is the Japanese line. Now, I've been playing through many of the Japanese ships recently, or in the last year or so, and like many players or new players, I think I rushed up to get to the Shimakaze there because it has just an incredible amount of torpedoes in long range, and I'm working my way slowly up to the Yamamoto because, well, it was the first ship I think in the game that had 18-inch guns. That's since changed, but it's a legendary ship and I'm kind of working my way up. I've also been playing with the idea lately of maybe getting into the cruiser lines, but I'm not sure which. So if you have any thoughts or opinions on which cruiser line maybe I should go down, please, again, feel free to leave those comments below. In general, though, I think the Japanese line is a little trickier to play, but has some devastatingly good ships if you know how to play them. Next up, we have the British line. The British line, I think, starts off really strong, especially with the battleships, but then as you go on, the battleships get a little weaker. The cruisers are okay. The light cruisers, I think, was the initial line. Now they've introduced heavy cruisers. I have yet to play the heavy cruisers, as you can see. The battle cruisers, I feel, are pretty good ships too. They have very good guns, or pretty good guns in some instances. They have excellent speed, but they have very little armor because they're battle cruisers, not battleships. So the British line, so-so, not as strong as the American line, but they have some good ships in there, and again, if you know how to play them, you can get the most out of them. Next up is my next favorite class, so far as battleships are concerned, the Germans. They have some very strong battleships. Some of the battleships don't have the best accuracy. Others, like the Bismarck, are just good all-around solid ships, and I'm working my way up to the Tier 10 Gerber, whatever you call that Tier 10 ship there. And I'm also working my way up to the Schlieffen, which I've seen many players in this game do incredible things with. Again, battle cruiser, not a battleship. Destroyers, meh, not so hot. And the cruisers are pretty good. I've got the Hipper, and I have the Rune, but I haven't started playing it yet because I think I might skip the Rune to move up to the Hindenburg. Either way, the cruisers are pretty good. Overall, not a bad tech tree, and a pretty good tech tree to start the game with if you wanted to. Better dead than red when it comes to the Russian ships here. I don't play the Russian ships. If you do play the Russian ships and you have your opinions on the tech tree, please leave those comments below. The Pan-Asian line. It's a mixture of Soviet ships and Western ships, and I have started playing a little bit of it. What I'm really looking to do is save up enough experience points so I can skip over some of these lower end ships and then jump right to something like the Yuang or the Yen. I don't know how you pronounce the Tier 10 cruiser, but that one. Next up, the French ships. I really don't play French ships, as you could see. And the French ships that I have are probably from free crate giveaways. But I think they do have some decent, if not really good, battleships, especially the Republic. I've encountered the Republic many a times and started sweating because it's a pretty good ship. And some of the cruisers, but again, I guess it depends upon how you play them, and if you play them to their strengths, you can get the most out of them. The Italian ships. I kind of feel, I have mixed emotions about this. I feel like it was a gimmick that Wargaming introduced, but the battleships are pretty good. Don't know about the rest of the ships, though. European ships, which are primarily destroyers at this time, I think there's a cruiser or something that you may have won in a crate, but other than that, mostly destroyers. They recently introduced a line of Polish destroyers, which are semi-fictional, but that's a whole nother story. Either way, I'm working my way up to the Halland currently, and I feel like they're underpowered, so this may not be a tech line for you, especially when it comes to destroyers. Next up, we have the Pan America line, or the South American line as I like to call it. I don't know why they call it Pan American. Anyways, probably the best ship that I've played so far is the Rio de Janeiro. It has excellent guns, good armor. It's a good tier ship for what it is. But the rest of the line, but I am going to probably, again, work my way up eventually to the San Martin. But I really haven't seen that in the game all that often. So I just wonder, how good is it? If you have it, leave your thoughts below in the comments. The Netherlands. Yeah, here's a ship line that was kind of odd, but good, I guess. I started off with the De Ruyter. Good, strong ship for its tier, I felt. And I've worked my way up since to now the Haarlem, which is an okay cruiser. Nothing really to write home about. And I'm going to work my way up to the tier 10 eventually. But I'm wondering how good it is, because I don't think I've ever seen that cruiser before in any of my games. If you have that cruiser, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And last but not least is Spain. And it seemed like this line was introduced to introduce a new gimmick, which was the burst fire gimmick that they have, where you accumulate so much, I don't know, burst points or something, and then you can fire all of your cannons at a rapid rate or something. I don't think I've ever seen a Castilla or whatever you call that other one, or the Catalina. I don't know. I don't think I've ever encountered any of those vessels yet in any game. So I just wonder how good they really are, and maybe more experienced players out there can, if you have those ships, can let me know if you think that they're worthwhile. Is it worth continuing going down this tech tree or not? So those are my thoughts on the various tech tree lines there, and this is just my own 2 cents. If you have opinions or thoughts on any of the tech tree lines, or if you feel strongly about any of the ships or whatever, please feel free to leave those comments below. Again, these are just my own 2 cents, and they may change over time as I play the different ships within each of those lines, except for the Soviets. I'm not going to play the Soviets. And if you guys would like to see me go a little more in depth into any one of the tech tree lines, please leave those comments below as well. I think that's going to wrap it up for today, and I'll see you out on the high seas.